Always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And welcome to another brand new day here live from the shadow of Detroit. It is the Steve Gruber Show. I'm glad to have you on board with us as we're getting buried in snow again, kicking off another brand new day from the biggest foxhole of freedom that we're going to have to shovel out today. Lots of work to do, so let's get right to it. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, the Trump administration has now revoked 85,000 visas for those they deem as a threat to the safety of the United States. Many more on the way. Number two, fixing health care is now coming out front and center. Democrats are trying to make the American taxpayer keep footing the bill for a failed system, but Republicans actually have two really great ideas. Remarkable. We're going to talk that in detail today. And number three, all I want for Christmas is for those on the left to give up their deranged fight against ICE and a strong America. You've heard it all by now. ICE agents are Nazis, they're racist, the Gestapo, and the list goes on. It's really disgusting. The threats from the left are more than just verbal. In Illinois, rioters attacked ICE agents in the streets outside a Chicago area ICE facility. Over 100 rioters threw tear gas, slashed tires, created mayhem in just this one incident. Several officers ended up hospitalized. In other incidents, protesters used their cars to assault ICE officers. Now, I personally want to know how these protesters know ahead of time where ICE and border agents are going to be, and how they come armed with things like tear gas canisters ready to attack. How is that? Sure seems like someone's tracking these agents in real time, and I wouldn't be surprised. In a state like Illinois, where leaders like Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson demonize ICE on the daily. Maybe it's coming from their offices. I don't know. Pritzker does more than just demonize ICE. He undermines them by refusing to honor ICE arrest detainers against criminals in his own state. You see, since Trump took office in January, Pritzker has released more than 1,700 criminal aliens back into his own community. Pedophiles, kidnappers, even murderers, just to stick it to ICE. ICE has had to do the dirty work and catch these people on their own time and get these criminals off the streets, all while facing threats and attacks from the very Americans they're trying to protect. Border czar Tom Homan shut down CNN's Dana Bash as she tries to criticize ICE agents for doing their jobs. And he says threats against ICE agents are up at a staggering amount. Listen to this.
And then there's just the aggressive tactics that we are seeing in video after video. You're comfortable with those tactics that we're all seeing with our own eyes?
Look, threats on ICE officers are up 1,200%. They're being doxxed on social media. They're getting death threats every day. They've been attacked. They've been shot at. And you know, these officers out there look for the worst of the worst, so they're protecting themselves. And I think they're following the law. And if any ICE officer, Border Patrol agent, acts out of policy or does something inappropriate, they'll be held accountable. But we got to remember, I mean, they're under attack, and we're at a place in this country where all of a sudden the ones who enforce the law are the bad guys, and the ones who broke the laws are victims. I'm going to trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol who've been trained very well. They're doing the right thing. But I'll say again, if someone does something inappropriate, out of policy, illegal, they need to be held accountable. But I simply think I haven't seen that. And again, I'm not in every arrest. I'm not in every operation. I trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol to do the right thing.
Yeah. 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungery. Remember her? Raped, strangled and left for dead in a creek in Texas by two illegals. 12 years old. And I'm supposed to be more concerned about the aggressive tactics that ICE agents use to get monsters like these guys off the streets? Give me a break. I'm just so sick of this level of derangement. I've got a lot more to say about this in the weeks to come. NBC News released a report this week that they thought was the gotcha on the Trump administration. It just further goes to prove my point. The headline reads this way: more than a third of the roughly 220,000 people arrested by ICE officers in the first 9 months of the Trump administration had no criminal histories, according to the new data. People like Dana Bash and J.B. Pritzker act like illegal immigrants are just men and women coming to America to make some money. But this shows that two-thirds of illegals that ICE is getting off the streets have criminal histories. How do they not realize this is a win for the American people? 100% of them broke the law by coming here illegally in the first place. And two-thirds had other criminal histories. Many of those crimes were committed here. But they want us to take up arms over the fact that a third simply committed the crime of coming here illegally. Like I said, derangement. Minnesota's acting just as ridiculous. After losing billions in fraud to Somalian illegal alien criminals, the state's leadership is focusing on resisting ICE. That's their focus. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry is loud and proud about his instructions for local police to undermine the law enforcement efforts. Listen to what he says.
Correct. Our police officers will not coordinate with ICE or any federal agency around immigration law enforcement work. Now, we do work with federal agents around important criminal activity, narcotics, gun violence. We arrest perpetrators of violent crime, but we will not work with federal agents around immigration law enforcement. Why? Because we've seen the unconstitutionality of it. We've seen the chaotic nature that it creates. We know that it breaks apart families that make Minneapolis better, and we want nothing to do with it.
Well, what about the families who are here legally, Mr. Mayor? What about the families who pay taxes and were defrauded by criminals in Minnesota that are pocketing millions or billions at the expense of Minnesota residents? What about them? He doesn't care about those families, apparently. Thank God at least Tom Homan still does. And he again is setting the record straight over on Chicken Noodle News. Here's more.
With the new ICE raids in Minnesota, they are sparking widespread fear and uncertainty among people in the Somali community in the Twin Cities. Now, that Somali community in Minnesota is about 80,000 people. The vast majority are U.S. citizens or legal residents. So what is the reason for sending ICE there?
Well, look, we also know there's a large illegal Somali community there. There's illegal alien community, large illegal alien community there. You know, if you're a U.S. citizen, you know, you have nothing to fear. We're looking for criminal aliens. And also, if you're a resident alien, you have a, you know, like a felony conviction by statute, you could be set up for deportation. So we're looking for public safety threats, national security threats, and illegal aliens. Nothing's changed, Dana, from day one.
Yeah. Nothing has changed from day one. Not the Trump administration, and not from the Democrat Party, who has decided it's going to a keystone position for their platform to resist immigration law enforcement efforts. You probably won't be surprised to hear that New York's resident communist, Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani, is issuing the same kind of public announcements as Minneapolis. Here he is.
As mayor, I'll protect the rights of every single New Yorker, and that includes the more than 3 million immigrants who call this city their home. But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights. New Yorkers have a constitutional right to protest, and when I'm mayor, we will protect that right. New York will always welcome immigrants, and I will fight each and every day to protect, support, and celebrate our immigrant brothers and sisters.
Sad, isn't it? How is it so hard to understand there's a difference between illegal and legal? ICE is only going after one of those, illegal. We'll have more about this coming up. Defending our country matters. To me, does it matter to you? I'll take a break and be right back. Again, how hard is it to understand there's a difference between illegal immigrants and those who come here legally? And that ICE is only after one of those, and it's not those who come here legally. Of course, they understand the difference. They are just ignoring it, hoping to score political points ahead of next year. I want you to think about that. These politicians are willing to increase the amount of threats against ICE agents, keep criminals on the streets, ignore the public safety concerns of law-abiding Americans, all to try to win another election. It's despicable. And according to the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, it's probably illegal too. Here she is.
Mayor, if he were mayor, could be violating the Constitution by giving advice on how to evade law enforcement and how to get away with breaking the law. It's really unbelievable in this country what we're seeing. Those ICE agents that you were referencing, the violent attacks that have increased against them to 1,200%, death threats against them are at 8,000%. And I want to remind everybody, these ICE agents live in these communities. That's their homes. They have their families there. They're working to keep their own kids safe so that they can go to school, they can go to church and go to work every single day. So they're there doing God's work to protect this country and enforce the law. And these politicians, if they don't like the law, then go frickin' change it. Go change the law. That's your job, is to actually have debate, have discernment, to create a law that actually puts America first. I'm just grateful the president is focused on that.
I'm grateful the president is focused on that. And even though the far-left nutcases in this country aren't thankful for it, many more Americans really are. This is what we voted for and support. Best story I've seen this week. There's a bar in Idaho that's offering free beer for a month to anyone who helps ICE identify and deport an illegal alien from the state. They also offer one free beer to any illegal who wants to self-deport. They come in, drink the beer, ICE agents pick them up, and bam, they're gone. Have a cold beer on the way out. Amazing. Of course, the bar owner has now gotten multiple death threats, but he says he's not backing down from his show of support. And one man has already won free beer after reporting a state rep for hiring illegals. Yeah, here's that.
Brian Spoon, the so-called first winner of Old State Saloon's month of free beer promotion, told Idaho News 6 he filed that tip believing the man he reported worked for Mickelson's Farms.
Basically, I repeated Representative Stephanie Mickelson's, State House Representative Stephanie Mickelson. She gave public floor testimony on the floor of the Idaho State House in 2024, I believe it was, where in her own words, she said that, quote, every food processor in the state, unquote, hires illegals.
Mickelson, whose family employs hundreds of workers, says she decided to speak now to let others know she thinks the saloon's promotion is despicable.
If we start targeting people based upon the color of their skin, that we really have a big problem here.
We're not doing it based on the color of their skin. We're doing it because they're here illegally. There is nothing Democrats hate more than being called out on their own bull. I'm happy to see that some Americans are still doing it. In the end, this Christmas, my wish stands. May the left cease their unhinged war on ICE, secure the borders. Prioritizing American safety over political theater will protect families from criminal threats. As patriots like the Idaho bar owner show, real Americans won't back down. Let's make strength our gift to the nation. That's my hope for the nation. Meanwhile, some things going on. Maybe you didn't hear this one. Jasmine Crockett's running for the United States Senate. Jasmine Crockett. And by the way, a bunch of politicians are really upset about it. No, not the Republicans. The Democrats. Because they know Jasmine Crockett has zero chance of winning anything. Zero chance of winning anything. Except she can polarize and make sure that she can't win. Let's just put it that way, not in Texas. Let's go to bite number 2 here. Bite number 2, this is Jasmine Crockett. She says she doesn't need a single Trump voter, not one, to become a senator from the state of Texas. Oh, this is going to be good for 26. Listen.
That you will fight for them. How will you make voters who previously voted for Trump, particularly given that you have been an outspoken critic and he has inserted himself, just take your campaign video as is. He has inserted himself at every turn when it comes to your commentary. How will you convert those who are supportive of him to voters for you?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll necessarily convert all of Trump supporters. That's not our goal.
Do you need to?
Our goal is to definitely talk to people. No, we don't. We don't need to. Our goal is to make sure that we can engage people that historically have not been talked to, because there's so many people that...
Well, we don't need Trump supporters. Really? You're in Texas. You don't need Trump supporters. Like I said, she actually scares the hell out of politicians and not Republicans. Listen.
I really don't care your status. I get that everyone here today is a United States citizen, but honestly, I have said over and over and over that as a black woman, all I can think about is the slave patrols. And the reason I bring it up is because history matters.
ICE is slave patrols. Thank you, Jasmine, for that insightful wisdom. Slave patrols. Arresting illegals is nothing more than catching slaves of the 19th century or the 18th century or whatever. Remarkable. Yeah, she'll do well in Texas. It's clear winter is here. The snow just does not stop. Snow day today, by the way, for a lot of people across the state of Michigan, where I am. It means it's flannel season. Muskox, the undisputed leader in heavyweight flannels, has you covered. Their brand new heavyweight flannels are on the way. And they're already rated the best flannel by Gear Junkie magazine since 2023 and by everybody here in this office. These aren't your average shirts. Muskox flannels are crafted with the softest, double-brushed 100% cotton. It feels as good as it looks. Plus, every flannel sold gives back $5. It goes straight to wildlife conservation. So step up your winter wardrobe. Make a difference. Go muskox.com/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. You're going to save $15. Yeah, it's an investment, this shirt, in your comfort, and your kids and wife will be eyeing it as soon as you get one, guys. I'm telling you. Go muskox.com, promo code Gruber, $15 off that Muskox flannel. Grab one now. I'll be right back. All right, back to it now. As we just mentioned, Muskox. It's a snow day where I am. The kids get to sleep in. We don't. But if you're going outside, man, you need a Muskox. Brad Hoos is here. He founded the company in Detroit. Best flannel shirt you're ever going to own. He's with me now. Brad, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Merry Christmas to you.
And what a festive outfit you have on today, celebrating Christmas with your Muskox flannel and Rudolph on your head.
That's Rudolph's always in our heart here at Muskox. You know, we stand in solidarity with the whole animal kingdom.
Very nice. All right. Your shirts are the best. Why?
Oh, look, they're made with high quality cotton. They're sustainable cotton. They're done the right way, right? They're built to last. I could get into all the specifics. Double brushed cotton. They're heavyweight, part of the Better Cotton program. We got locker loops. They're buttery soft. Ultimately, we're just really thoughtful. And in a world where everyone wants fast fashion, we build things slow and built for the long haul.
The classic look of a real flannel shirt. And trust me, guys, when I go outside today to shovel, I'll be wearing a Muskox. When I go out to see the chickens today, I'll be wearing a Muskox. When I go out in this winter weather, boy, winter came early, didn't it? Came early.
It did, and we appreciate it. We love the cold weather because we're built for that. I mean, we're named after the most insulated animal with the most insulated fur on the planet, and a muskox.
Yeah, there you go. Muskox. It's a Detroit company. He's got a beautiful one on there. I'm not sure which pattern that is, but you've got several different patterns for people to choose from, don't you?
We do. This is the oatmeal. This is something that's it's got a little bit of holiday to it, but you can really wear it in any time of year. What you'll see is that our patterns are a little bit different, but they're
Yep.
still a classic flannel print, and people just really have come to love muskox, and we appreciate the Gruber Show and all the listeners. You guys have been just fantastic supporters of muskox over the years. So Rudolph and I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you this morning.
And they'll say thank you with $15 off. Go muskox.com/Gruber, $15 off. Like I said, it's an investment in comfort, an investment in your future, unless your wife or child steals it from you because it's a snow day and they said, hey, Dad, thanks. Brad, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate it. Yeah, like you said, it is an investment. Our flannels aren't cheap, but they are very high quality.
They're
and
the
they're
best.
worthy of the investment. So
Cell towers, they're everywhere. There are 500,000 of them already. Did you know that? 500,000 cell towers out there? Yeah, it's true. And apparently that's not enough. In fact, it's not enough so much that the federal government wants to take away the rights of local zoning and just say we're going to put one here and here and here. Okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me or to my next guest. Robert Berg is a class action attorney. He's led major cases versus AT&T, Deutsche Telekom, and others. He joins me now. Robert, thank you for being here.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here.
All right, so why is the FCC moving to preempt local authority here? Like I said, 500,000 cell phone towers out there already. Look, I wish I had one on my land. They pay good money, I hear. But the fact of the matter is there are local ordinances for a reason. You can build certain things. You know, buildings can only be so tall. You can't have trailer parks in certain areas. You can't have adult bookstores in certain areas. There's a reason you have local zoning and ordinances to maintain the integrity of a community, right? All right, well then. Seems we lost Robert there for a moment. We'll work to get him back. Maybe the FCC just said, we're done with you. No more for you. You know, they have incredible power. Did you see that? They came right in and zapped him. Just like that. We will not talk about those cell towers. Look, it happens. We'll get him back on the line here. But what's happening is that the federal government, the FCC, is moving to take away local zoning rights so that they could be controlled by the FCC. 500,000 macro cell towers already built and operating in the U.S. Proof enough that the state and local governments are not unduly impeding cell tower deployment, obviously. I was approached once about having one on my property. It didn't work out, and so it is. Chairman Carr exemplifies the most extreme form of federal agency intrusion over state and local rights, says Robert Berg. Class action lawyer has achieved hundreds of millions of dollars in recoveries, successfully battling telecommunications companies in a class action lawsuit against AT&T and others. So the Taos Board of Commissions narrowly overturned a July Planning Commission decision to approve a special use permit that would have constructed a 195-foot cell tower in San Cristobal, that's in New Mexico, in a special called meeting at the co-op. The motion to overturn effectively blocks cell towers from being built, but the federal commission came in and says, you know what? We can build these anyway. So there you go. It's a concern. Are we going to be able to get him back, or should I go on to something else, gentlemen?
Working on it.
He's working on it. All right. Meanwhile, I'll just tell you this. Donald Trump was on the road yesterday. Donald Trump was on the road in Pennsylvania yesterday as we worked to get Robert back on the line. He had a major rally in Pennsylvania. The president's numbers, by the way, in approval numbers are on the rise. 4 or 5 points in all the major polling that's been done in the last couple of weeks. Something is starting to work again. Donald Trump is talking about, and we're going to talk about this in the next hour for the entire hour. We're going to talk about health care for the entire hour with an expert about health savings accounts, about these co-ops. You see, Senator Rand Paul has added a second idea to the idea of health savings accounts, which, by the way, I think is a great idea. Instead of the government taking your tax dollars and sending them directly to insurance companies, they have a plan to send the money to the American consumer. All right, the money comes to you. You set up a health savings account. Then you decide which insurance plan you want, when you pay your doctor, when you see your doctor, which pharmaceuticals and prescriptions you pay for. Okay, so that's a great first step. Rand Paul then says, well, what about this? What if it wasn't just everyone for themselves trying to negotiate with the insurance companies? Because that's not going to work and the insurance companies win again. He said, take somebody like Costco, for example, that has 44 million members. Have Costco have health care available through them. And then Costco goes to United Healthcare or Blue Cross Blue Shield and says, look, we have 44 million members, and here's the deal we want to negotiate. Then you've got some real negotiating power. So you take the health savings accounts, you add the co-ops to it, and you've got the ability to make health care affordable and have it work for the American people again. Look, it's no secret. The Democrats are out there saying, well, Republicans are trying to take away health care. No, what they're trying to do is fix Obamacare, which is a disaster. It hasn't worked for anybody. You see how much the premiums go up. They say, well, they're going up more now. Yeah, by design. And when you send all this money to the insurance companies, you end up with this absolute train wreck, right? So Obamacare was designed to fail when it was rolled out in 2010. It was designed to get us to single-payer health care because that's what they want. They want everybody beholden to the government for their health care. That way it becomes a campaign issue. That way it becomes a money issue. That way it becomes a control issue. That's what it was always about. Obamacare was never about anything else except that. And it failed, as I predicted, and as did many others. It will fail because it can't possibly work. Right? Because they wanted all of these young people to sign up and then take care of the old people, basically. The healthy young people would foot the health care bill for the older folks. And it hasn't worked. And now it takes subsidies. It's just like the EVs. If your business plan is to pay everything by way of the American taxpayer, it's never going to work. That's not a business plan. That's a pipe dream. That's what it is. It's not a business plan. It's a pipe dream. And therefore, that's where we are. All right, back to cell phone towers. Robert Berg is with me. Robert, good to have you here. The government just wants to take away the control from local folks. We'll get back to the health care, by the way, folks, for the whole hour coming up. Why would they do this? There are local ordinances, as we just started to discuss, for a reason.
The FCC is really it's a controlled organization, controlled agency. It's always been that way. It really plays up to the interests of the wireless and the telecom industry, and it's a revolving door. The people that are running the FCC have long industry ties, and it's really a tremendous federal giveaway to the AT&T and the Verizons of the world, and it's a great overreach by the federal government here. There's 651,000 wireless facilities and cell towers as of the end of last year, so probably another 50,000 or so are up this year. How much infrastructure do you really need? I mean, you can drive anywhere in this country except in the remote areas and place your cell phone call. So
well, you don't need any. I mean, if I could be so bold, you don't need any infrastructure because you've got Starlink, which now does cell phones. You don't need anything on the ground terrestrial, actually.
Well, that's true. They don't have the capacity, obviously, to serve the needs of the whole country.
Not yet.
As phenomenal as the technology is, and I've actually been up in northern Manitoba, 200 miles from the nearest town, and watched the Olympics 2 years ago. It's tremendous, but there's just not enough of that. So you clearly need infrastructure, and I'm not anti-technology, but you don't need it in someone's backyard. You don't need a 200-foot cell tower, 150 foot from someone's backyard window, their house window, blasting into a kid's bedroom.
Right. So here's my question. Really, we've only got about 45 seconds left. Where are we in this deal? Will the federal government prevail? Are you suing them? Can you stop this overreach by the federal government? Last word to you.
There's two things going on. The FCC is having a notice of rulemaking right now. You have to put in your comments to the FCC by December 31st. The House of Representatives, is a bill just reached the floor last week. They're considering changing the law to strip local rights completely. That's even worse because right now we could sue the FCC under current federal law and probably win. If the House and the Senate ultimately pass new legislation, then all your rights are gone, and that would really be terrible.
We'll keep an eye on it. Robert Berg, we'll have you back when the technology works a little bit better for us. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being here. Have a great day.
Right. There you have it. There has to be local control of everything. I'll be right back. I've noticed since I've gotten older, my joints seem to hurt a little bit more. Maybe you've noticed that too. I got, pain. I don't know if it's osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, which runs in my family. Could be joint inflammation. Whatever it is painful. And sometimes it's a little bit debilitating. Joining me now is Dr. Alejandro Diaz. He is the chief of pediatric medicine at the Wellness Company. Dr. Diaz, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me on.
Joint pain. Now that I've passed a milestone birthday, it seems that it's getting more prevalent in my life. I mean, is this common when it comes to osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, post-traumatic injury? I've had a lot of those. Gravity always wins. Is this normal?
Well, Steve, it is estimated that approximately over 60 million Americans live in the United States with chronic pain. That goes from osteoarthritis to rheumatoid arthritis, post-traumatic pain, and different other diseases. That's almost a quarter of the population. That's a lot.
Yeah, 60 million people, and I'm one of them. So you can count 60 million and one. How prevalent is chronic joint inflammation and pain?
It is very prevalent, specifically in the adult population, and it will go from all sorts of different diseases, from post-traumatic to osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and so many other inflammatory diseases. So pain, it's a very difficult, thing for patients, and they have to live with it.
Yeah, but do they? I mean, I think that most of the treatments that are available for chronic joint inflammation and pain treat the symptoms. I mean, you take some over-the-counter medication or something stronger from your doctor, whatever it might be, but that just hides the pain. It doesn't really tackle the real underlying problem, does it?
No, definitely not, because the underlying problem is that what is causing the inflammation. But we have good solutions for that problem. That's the good news.
And what are these solutions? Tell me about what you have at the... Look, we've been using the Wellness Company for a variety of products for years. And the great thing about the Wellness Company is you guys don't sit there and rest on your laurels. You're always finding new treatments to things that have chronically plagued people. What do you have for joint pain? What do you have for this discomfort? What do you have for a guy who's getting older like me?
An amazing compound that the Wellness Company has been able to put together. It's TheraBlue. TheraBlue is a next generation topical formula designed to deliver fast, targeted, and lasting relief for muscle, joint, and nerve discomfort. It's an amazing product. You put it topically, whatever the discomfort is, and you will start feeling this relief. And I think it's a wonderful product that everybody should have it at home.
Well, I think so. It's one of the products I have not tried yet, but I will after this conversation, that's for sure. And it helps treat chronic joint inflammation. But here's the question, because I always ask this question about whatever I'm taking. Is it safe to be used every day?
It is very safe because it's topical, and it's just natural ingredients, from methylene blue to arnica and so many other compoundings that there are delivering this pain relief. It's very safe to use, and I use it. All of my, everybody in my practice, they use it, and with amazing results.
I talk to people every day here on this program, it seems, about Big Pharma. They have more lobbyists in Washington than anyone. You've got the first $1 trillion Big Pharma company this year. You've got all these things out there, and they make a lot of money, but they don't seem to have the innovations that the Wellness Company has. When it comes to expense and innovation, the biomedical establishment, Big Pharma, doesn't seem to deliver the way you guys do. Why is that?
Well, the thing is that the name of the game for Big Pharma is to keep everybody sick. They'll give you one pill to try to fix one thing, but they will have a lot of side effects that you have to take care of that in the very near future. So that's the name of the game. With us, with this amazing ingredients that the Wellness Company have been able to put together, no side effects, topical application, and fast relief.
And that's incredibly important, fast relief. Because look, none of us are getting any younger, Doc, I'll tell you that. And it hurts a little bit when you get older. The other thing the Wellness Company has are these fabulous emergency kits to have at home. The emergency kits from the Wellness Company are second to none. You got companies like the medical emergency kit, the first aid kit, all of these. I keep them right here so people can see them. So you never get caught short in an emergency. These are incredibly important. I think they're really important for people to have at home. They got one for kids, for travel, first aid, and the Wellness Company medical emergency kit. How important are these? Do your people have these at home as well, like I do?
Everybody should have at least one of our kits, if not all of our kits, because you can take care of many different situations. Specifically, right now, when the flu season it's all the way there, the contagion emergency kit, it's amazing. It's a wonderful tool, and everybody should have at least one of our emergency kits.
I agree. And with with flu season here, you want to be able to be healthy as soon as possible. I agree with that. Dr. Alejandro Diaz, I greatly appreciate you being here today and talking about the Wellness Company and all their breakthroughs.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. And if you want to know more about TheraBlue or these emergency kits, very simple thing to do. Go to twc.health/Gruber. Look, these kits, we have them here. I burned myself last year pretty badly. And before we could get to the doctor, we had a burn cream in this kit that helped. It helped tremendously. I went from being in terrible shape to pretty good shape in a short period of time. So you get the Wellness Company, TheraBlue, and so many more products for you that you can check out. Go do that. twc.health/Gruber, twc.health/Gruber, because as we talk about here, taking care of your good health, it's not something you do now and then. It's something you have to do every single day. It's the way you approach life. And one of the ways you approach life is making sure that you have the things on your shelf that can make you feel better, whether it's TheraBlue or these emergency kits. Go ahead and check that out. twc.health/Gruber. Make sure you follow us at stevegruber.com. Get all the latest information. You can listen live there every day as well. You can follow us on all the social media platforms to make sure you're keeping up to speed. Watch us live on YouTube as well. Never miss a moment of the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back. Another big win for the Trump administration just yesterday. I keep seeing these happen, and it's pretty remarkable to me. But I keep seeing this happen, and here's another one. The appeals court, the D.C. Circuit, the most liberal circuit court of appeals in America, sides with Pete Hegseth and says, yes, you can ban transgender individuals from the military. Earlier this year, Hegseth imposed a sweeping ban on transgender military service, part of a broader effort to raise physical and mental standards in the service branches and remove political elements from military culture. The U.S. Appeals Court for the D.C. Circuit said Tuesday they side with the Department of War in this ongoing dispute over the Pentagon's transgender ban. The three-judge panel dissolved the lower court's order staying the ban, but did issue a stay pending appeal. But it's another big win for this administration. They keep winning in the courts. When you win at the D.C. Circuit, that's significant. So for today, the transgender issue is not an issue for the military. The order stands. And I'm going to guess it will stand. We'll see. Headed for Christmas, and I'd like you to support the great people that support this program, people like Patriots Relief. Right now, 47% off combo packs at Patriots Relief. Several different packs to choose from. You've got the Rub Total Relief Combo, $1,600. 47% off. You've got the Gummies Combo Pack, 2 bottles of gummies, full spectrum, 25 milligrams. They are 47% off. Little dyslexic there. 47% off. You've got the Total Relief Combo, $1,600. 47% off. PatriotsRelief.com. PatriotsRelief.com. Best CBD products about anxiety, pain, you need help sleeping. It's all there for you. 47% off right now. It's your Christmas special from me to you and from Patriots Relief. Great people doing great work with great products. PatriotsRelief.com. Now, coming up in the next hour, we're going to spend the hour, almost all of it, talking about health savings accounts, co-ops. How do you fix healthcare in America? I've got a guy coming in, Paul Siegert. He used to work for the NSA as a Russian analyst. He says the insurance industry far dirtier than the Russians. He's a wealth of knowledge, and you're going to want to share it here coming up on the Steve Gruber Show.
Today.
always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Hey, nice to see you today. Glad to have you back here as we fight for you from the foxhole of freedom and light another fuse on another big hour here at the program. We're going to talk a lot today about healthcare. We got that coming up. But first, 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1, Gene Simmons. Yeah, that one. On Capitol Hill testifying about the American Music Fairness Act. But he took time to talk about just how great America is on the heels of his Kennedy Center honor on Sunday. It's well worth listening to. Number 2, President Trump kicked off his brand new affordability tour as he builds support for his economic plans and gets into campaign mode for the midterm elections. It'll have great impact. By the way, his number's rising on the economy now. And number 3, the battle over the cost of health care could have come up for a vote as early as tomorrow. And we're going to talk about this in detail with Paul Siegert coming up. You're going to want to hear that. But Democrats want more of the same. You footing the bill for Obamacare. While your coverage gets more and more expensive and your coverage gets less and less, the health care continues to get worse and the price continues to go up. This is all by design. Republican Senator Majority Leader John Thune says a vote is coming on extending the Democrats' plan to continue enriching insurance companies at your expense. It's coming as soon as tomorrow. Here's what he said at the Capitol yesterday.
As you all know, we're going to have a vote this week on Thursday on a Democrat proposal to deal with the Biden COVID bonuses. And this is a vote, as you all know, we could have had weeks ago. It's been on offer now before we had to go through a 43-day government shutdown. But that's what the Democrats opted to do. And so at the end of the 43 days now, we're going to have a vote on their proposal, which, as it turns out, is really a proposal that just extends the status quo. Doesn't do anything to reform these Biden COVID bonuses in a way that would get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think the one thing that's clear about this, and I think you all who follow this subject know this, that the way that the program is structured, the money goes straight to the insurance companies. And the way that we think this ought to work is you ought to come up with a way in which you can deliver the benefit to the patients and not to the insurance companies, and that you shouldn't have hardworking Americans subsidizing affluent people who make a lot of money.
That's right. Why is, and I've always wondered about this, why are you soaking the guy that's making 15 or 20 bucks an hour, soaking that guy to pay for somebody who's making multiples of that? The Republican plan will likely include health savings accounts, but there's another component that's being offered by Rand Paul that is brilliant, I think. And this is what we're going to talk with Paul Siegert about in part. Listen to this.
This is an idea I've been talking about for several years, and President Trump has engaged on this idea. In his first term, he actually tried to put it in place through an executive order, but the Democrats sued in court and stopped us. Basically, it allows people to buy insurance as a group. So if you're an individual accountant and you have 3 employees, or you're a landscaper and have 4 employees, you're a small group, you don't have any leverage to get a better price from big insurance companies. But what if you could join Costco? Costco has 44 million members, and if one person negotiated for all 44 and they bought a group plan like Toyota or General Motors does, they would be the largest corporate or largest collective entity in the country. They would drive prices down by sheer might and leverage. In all likelihood, whoever was in charge of the buying group would sit down with the CEO of United Healthcare and Blue Cross, and they would have to negotiate, and they would get things that nobody's been able to get in the past. So this is an idea of letting people join a group, like a co-op or a collective, to bargain together, and they're called association health plans.
Yeah, association health plans. What a beautiful idea. And I think that Rand Paul, that's a great idea. 44 million members of Costco, that's just one great example, right? One great example. Meanwhile, Senator John Kennedy says the U.S. Senate has to get moving on bringing down the cost of living for average Americans. They're working hard on that, but he says the Senate needs to work harder. Here he is.
I think that when the American people speak, you better listen to them. And I think that we need, the President and the United States Senate, need to be working on things that moms and dads worry about when they lie down to sleep at night and can't. And one of the things is the cost of living. And what I'm telling you is there are things we can do that the president can't do, but in order to do it, the United States Senate has to get up off its ice-cold, lazy butt. And you can't use the excuse, well, the Democrats won't go along with it. Of course they won't. But we don't need their votes. We can do it through reconciliation with a simple Republican majority.
Simple Republican majority. We'll see what happens, but that's to bring down the cost of living. Again, Donald Trump kicked off his Pennsylvania affordability tour last night. And look, the cost of, where is gasoline today? Let me just check, because it continues to go down almost daily. We'll see if it did it again today. It did. The national average now $2.94. If I go to a place like Oklahoma, the price there $2.36. You know, that's the average. $2.49 in Texas, $2.52 in Colorado, $2.53 in Iowa, $2.58 in Wisconsin. I saw people yesterday getting gas for $1.69. I'll play that for you in the next hour, because first I want to play this. Gene Simmons was in Washington. I met him last week in the briefing room. He walked in. If you didn't see the video, you can catch it on my social media platforms. Gene Simmons of KISS walks in with his kid who's like 7 feet tall. Of course, he goes to the podium there where Caroline Leavitt would normally stand and takes a couple of questions, one from me and one from another guy. Fascinating. He was there for the Kennedy Center Artists, but yesterday he was on Capitol Hill talking about the American Music Fairness Act. He says basically bands like KISS and others, they get played on the radio all the time and never get paid for it. While these corporations like Odyssey make billions of dollars, they get the short end of the stick. But this is what I want you to hear. Him talking about America and the American dream. Listen to this.
I'm the proud son of a concentration camp survivor. And for me, those words mean something, and we should all get over the cornball, eye-raising things and realize where we're living. This ain't about me, my friend.
That's it.
Because I've done very well because America gave a first-generation legal immigrant the chance to do well, and it was not easy. I had to learn the language. I had to stop talking like this, dress British, think Yiddish. You know what I mean. You had to learn the culture, claw my way up to the top with 3 other guys that understood it, with no managers, no nothing. Do it the old-fashioned way. Roll up your sleeves. America's giving you the chance. The rest is up to you.
The rest is up to you. Roll up your sleeves. Do the work. America's giving you the chance. Gene Simmons. If you're tired of taking vitamins that do not work, Protovite is a breakthrough liquid formula designed to absorb quickly so your body actually uses it. And when I say multivitamin, I mean it. 100 nutrients, B vitamins, amino acids, zinc, plant extracts. You get daily support for energy, focus, and immune health. Only from Victory Nutrition International. Nutrition that gets in. Start your mornings with Protovite. Feel the difference. Get 20% off right now. VNI.life/Gruber. VNI.life/Gruber. Victory Nutrition International. Nutrition that gets in. Great partner and great products. It has become the hot topic for sure. That is healthcare in America. Healthcare in America has become a huge hot topic. Democrats want to continue to do more of the same. Continue to take your tax dollars to feed the Obamacare monster. Rates go up. The services you get come down. Many people can't afford it. And then they blame Republicans who not one voted for Obamacare in the first place. And here we are. Joining me today is Paul Siegert. He's an employee benefits practice leader at Acrisure. I've known Paul for a number of years now. He's been on the program. He appeared in a documentary with me a couple of years ago called Flatline. You can find that documentary on healthcare. It's called flatlinefilm.com, flatlinefilm.com. Paul, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. It's been a bit. One of the things you said to me that I still chuckle about to this day, you used to work at the NSA. You were a Russian analyst, right? You were a Russian analyst. Right. That's what you did for a living. And then you got into the insurance industry. And you said to me one of the first times we met, the insurance industry is far dirtier than the Russians. And that still sits with me. Is it true?
It's still true. I think more true today than it was the first time I said it, yes.
Yeah. So here we are. You've got these lobbyists in the halls of Congress working hard to get these subsidies pushed through. The Democrats want 3 more years of these subsidies. Obamacare has been a failure by design, I believe, Paul. But there's no way the Obamacare plan, whatever it is, will function properly now or ever, will it?
Well, not unless we're willing to borrow hundreds of billions of dollars to subsidize it. I think the thing that's been most ironic to me is to watch how we mostly fight over who's going to pay for something that's broken, not how to fix it. You know, when you look at premiums that are tens of thousands of dollars because we've allowed healthcare conglomerates to form and other things that we could kind of point to and talk about, we need to fix some of those underlying problems, and we've never addressed really any of them. We just allowed cost to climb, and we hide that behind subsidies. We can have people making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in this country getting subsidies today. In some cases, their whole premium is covered, and they can make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. We're in a really crazy place that is absolutely unsustainable.
Well, I haven't figured out that formula, how to get it all paid for. I don't know how people do that, but there must be some formula, some magic deal to get there. But look, here's the thing. President Trump came out and started talking about health savings accounts. I think that's a good idea because he said, and the Republicans are going to reveal something, I'm told, before the end of the month, maybe as soon as this week, but I would guess not quite yet, that would include health savings accounts and possibly co-ops that Rand Paul is talking about. We're going to get to that in a minute. But first, the insurance company profits have gone up 1,000% in 10 years, 1,000%.
Right.
Because the money that people pay into the government for Obamacare, 20% of that goes straight to the insurance company, doesn't it?
Right. It's an incentive for costs to go up. If you look at the cost of a healthcare procedure today versus pre-Affordable Care Act days, it is higher, and not by a little. When you put them in a cost-plus model, they do far better if a knee replacement costs $100,000 than if it costs $20,000. So the incentives are so misaligned that you have a whole system that does better if it's less efficient. You know, that the medical loss ratio rule that you're talking about, that's part of the Affordable Care Act, was really never set up to do well. If you're an optimist, it wasn't built well. But it's an absolute mess that's driven up costs tremendously.
Yeah.
And then these organizations said, well, how can we return even more profit to shareholders? And so we allowed healthcare conglomerates to form. You know, it used to be, as an example, United and Optum were separate companies. CVS, Caremark, and Aetna were 3 different companies. Express Scripts and Cigna were 2 different companies. And now you have these conglomerates. We won't let 2 budget airlines merge because, you know, people might be upset about airfare going up potentially. But we'll allow these healthcare conglomerates to form. And then as a result, premiums are up about 100% in the last 15 years.
And continuing to soar. You know, one of the things that I saw, one of the things that I saw when I traveled the country doing that documentary film a couple of years ago, you'd have these big companies come in, they'd buy 4 hospitals, say, right? And they'd look at these 4 hospitals in Tennessee or wherever they might be, and they'd say, okay, these 4 hospitals are all profitable, but these 2 are not as profitable. So we're going to close those 2, and the people will
Right.
go to these other hospitals. But what happens is you lose your emergency room, you lose your obstetrics, you lose your oncology in that community. And what they have proven by doing this, people won't travel that far. People end up dying, don't they?
That's right. Yeah, we create healthcare deserts because of this consolidation that absolutely have not created better health outcomes. I mean, we've got a disparity between urban and rural areas in health outcomes and life expectancy. Uh, in the name of profit, it's the experiment is not going well.
No, the experiment's not going well, and it's coming at the expense of Americans, ordinary Americans who lose access to health care. I mean, if you have a hospital today and it goes away, then you don't have the ability to get to the emergency room if you're having chest pains. I mean, that's just an easy example. ERs close. One of the first things to go away is labor and delivery. Apparently that's an expensive part of the hospital. They don't like that. They like surgical centers because that makes a lot of money. Labor and delivery, they don't care for so much. One of the things I want to get to here, Paul, is something you mentioned. You said knee replacement. But whatever the procedure is, some of these procedures have 20 different price points, 100 different price points. Depends on what your insurance is, who's paying, how it's getting paid. That's crazy to me.
Over 150 is actually very common. And then you think about these transparency rules that we put in place as part of the original Affordable Care Act, one of the few parts that I thought could be helpful. And they become really unuseful. I mean, it's so much information, it broke the internet. You can't, as a consumer, go on and look at these 150 different prices and wade your way through it. What's even worse is that it really doesn't matter in the current system. If you tell that hospital that you have insurance, you're going to have to pay whatever the agreed upon amount is. You don't get to negotiate a better price.
That's your contract. The contract says this. We're going to talk more about the price points and how this is not good for the American consumer as we continue the conversation with Paul Siegert about where we are with healthcare in America. Paul, sit tight. We'll be right back.
Okay, you beat me a little.
All right, so transparency, here's what I don't understand, and I'm going to bring Paul Siegert back in, because here's what I don't understand, Paul. If I go to the hospital, an MRI costs whatever an MRI costs. You know, an oil filter costs what it costs. A gallon of gas costs what it costs, but not in medicine, not in healthcare. 150 different pricing points for an MRI or a larger procedure. How does that even make sense? And how do they create these bizarre formulas to arrive at this destination?
That's a negative outcome of the whole insurance payment model. I mean, if you go in there and you are a cash payer today, on average, the discount is 80 to 85% of what they're going to charge if you have insurance, which kind of negates the whole purpose of insurance. The idea was that these big insurance companies would go out and negotiate better deals for their customers, and therefore they would attract customers because they created value. We've gotten so far away from that. We're in a place now. I just mentioned to you during the break, I had a baby 20 months ago. They thought I had insurance. I was a cash payer. At least that's how I presented. They thought they were going to bill me $28,000. I said, whoa, apply the cash discount. The baby ended up costing $2,800.
Well,
and I paid for it on a credit card.
10%.
That's a crazy system.
That's a 90% discount. I'm not great with math, but I can do a 90% discount. So
crazy.
So how many people know that? Honestly.
I don't think many people do. Yeah, they don't. And that's the challenge. I like the idea of the health savings accounts. We can talk more about that. But as soon as that consumer tells the provider that they have insurance, they're stuck with whatever the negotiated reimbursement agreement is an amount.
So
They
real
aren't able to
quickly on
consume
that point there, $28,000 for the new child, which, by the way, is just your down payment. $28,000, that is covered by insurance, or maybe it's not. So your out-of-pocket expense could well exceed the $2,800 that you paid as a cash payer. Real quickly, 20 seconds on that.
Yeah, no question it would have, because I would have hit my max out of pocket.
Right.
And when you look at the max out of pockets in these Affordable Care Act plans, they go up every year. An individual max out of pocket could be $9,000.
Doesn't make any sense. All right, Paul, we're going to continue this. We're going to talk about those health savings accounts and the idea of co-ops like Costco negotiating for health insurance that Rand Paul's put forth. We'll be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, Paul Siegert is an insurance expert, an employee benefits practice leader for Acrisure, and he's been involved in this healthcare mess for many years now. Paul, let's continue the conversation. I think we both, obviously, we agree Obamacare doesn't work. I think it was designed to fail, to bring us to a single payer system, because for some people they think, well, that's utopia. But then I look at what goes on in the UK or Canada, I'm like, that's no panacea. That's just another mess, but that's where they want to lead us. But let's talk about this country, Obamacare. How do we fix it? What about these health savings accounts? Let's start there.
Well, we do need to create a system where consumers are rewarded for consuming well, and the system in its current form doesn't do that. We talked a minute ago about the fact that if you have insurance, you don't get to negotiate what you pay. You can't really be a super smart consumer like you can in so many areas. Once you tell the provider that you have insurance, you're gonna be billed whatever the agreed upon reimbursement amount is. I think we have to fix that. If you can't consume based on cost and quality, how do you consume well? So we need to make that information available, and we need to reward consumers when they consume that way. I think the health savings account idea gets us moving in the right direction, but we also have to take this system that's driven up premiums 100%, deductibles 100%, and put 100 million Americans in medical debt and be honest that subsidizing all of that with hundreds of billions of dollars of debt doesn't even begin to address that problem.
You know, going back to what we were talking about as far as one procedure costing 150 different price points, if you put that in front of somebody, you printed it out and put it on a piece of paper, says, well, here's what it could cost. It could be $2,800 or it could be $28,000, depending. And then just list out, if you have this, this is your cost. That would be so telling and educational to Americans to go, what the hell? Because I don't think most people realize that. I don't think most people realize the game that's being played on them. I mean, you've got a group of people, the Democrats, who want to extend the Obamacare subsidies for 3 years. And of course, if you look, the insurance companies, 90% of their political donations go to the Democrat Party, 90%. Gee, why is that? Because they continue to subsidize their bottom line, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If it's allowing them, the biggest winners clearly in the Affordable Care Act era of healthcare, I think the only winners, if we're being honest and just follow the math and the money, the only winners have been large insurers. We're left with 4 big players who, as you pointed out rightly earlier, have seen their stock price go up 1,000%. And at the same time, we've got 100 million Americans in medical debt. That's not winning for consumers. That's losing. I mean, 100 million Americans in medical debt. What did we do to address that and solve it? We changed credit bureau reporting requirements and rules so that it would be a little bit less obvious. I mean, that to me is a travesty. It should not at all work like that when we truly have the best healthcare in the world.
We
Rich
do.
people fly here from all over the world to get
That's
healed.
correct. We have the best
We have a
healthcare
horrible payment model.
if you can get access. That's exactly right.
Right.
And that's why people come here for knee replacements and open heart surgery and all sorts of things, because they can't get it in England, they can't get it in Canada. If they do, they have to stand in line for a year. That's the single payer system at work. You stand in line, and before you ever get to the head of the line, you drop dead. That's not much of a healthcare system either. What about health savings accounts? Instead of sending the money to insurance companies, let's start with that idea. You send the money to the people. Does that make sense to you?
Right. It does make sense. And then we also need to pass some common sense. Now, I'm not a politician, but if I were to wave a magic wand and say, how do we fix this? We need to create a system where those dollars in that account, people can consume with those effectively. We need to make transparency rules that really work. You know, we have all the technology in the world. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out around town, where can I go to get this MRI that can range in price from $700 to $7,000? Where can I go for the $700 version? And when I consume that well, why wouldn't the plan reward me for doing that?
You know what? It makes me think, okay, it's snowing where I am, right? And it makes me think, yesterday I bought some tires. What do you do when you buy tires? Or what do I do? I call the 3 different stores that I know. Hey, here are the tires I need. Here's the size I need. What do you got? I go with the best price, right? That's what you do. If you could do that with healthcare about any procedure, whatever it might be, or medication, you know, that would be a winner. But we don't have that option right now, do we? I mean, you really don't.
No, we don't. We don't. Not only is it too complicated, you're not allowed to really do that if you have insurance. You have to pay what they agreed upon. And that we even have cases where in health plans that we manage where the provider bills less than what the agreed upon amount was, and we're required to send them more than they billed because of how this crazy system works. That does not make sense. We don't have People think
Wait,
capitalism is the problem.
You're required to pay more than the bill.
That's right. If that's the agreed upon amount. That's a crazy system.
So the procedure's $100. The deal says you'll pay $500. So that extra $400 goes where? To the bottom line.
Yeah, you got to send it.
And the shareholders celebrate, right? That's what you're telling me. Well,
yeah, that's right.
What a system. Who designed this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and big insurers have been kind of running point on how all of this works for many, many years. I mean, really since pre-Affordable Care Act days, but it's gotten far worse in the last 15 years.
Yeah, it's gotten
in the
horrible.
way that all these mechanics work.
Yeah. So let me ask you, it is fixable, right? It is fixable.
I think it is. We have the smartest minds in the world here, and we have all the technology we need. I mean, I have a smartphone sitting in front of me. I can research anything. Now, in the age of AI, this should be imminently solvable if we have the will to do so. I guess if you want to get reelected, it's hard to not vote for perhaps some subsidy extensions. I've seen that some Republicans, and I'm not, necessarily saying I'm on one side or the other by saying this, but they want to do a 1-year extension. Well, I guess get it past the midterms or whatever. But when are we going to address the real problem that we've created a system that doesn't allow people to consume well? I mean, capitalism's not the problem. We've never actually had, or free market forces aren't the problem. We've never had free market forces in healthcare in this country.
Not in my lifetime.
In many decades. Right.
Right. Not in my lifetime or yours. That's right, because you've got government regulations, you've got insurance company lobbyists, and the government's just another problem. The government reimburses hospitals, as I learned in my travels a couple of years ago, but they don't do it well, and they certainly don't do it efficiently. And what they offer is a fraction of what it costs. If somebody walks into an emergency room in a rural hospital in the middle of nowhere, the reimbursement might be $25. That doesn't even pay for the nurse for the half hour,
they need
45 minutes.
117, 118, 120% of what they get reimbursed many times just to break even. And so when people go out and say, if we're going to talk about how to solve the problem, and you'll have people that do a lot of math based upon reimbursements, they'll say, hey, a single payer system would cost less. Well, yeah, but the whole system would collapse. These hospitals are going out of business in rural areas and poor urban areas because their payer mix, their customer base, is primarily people who have government insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. And that's putting those facilities right out of business. So you cannot use that math or that reference point to say this is how we can fund a single payer system unless you just want the whole thing to collapse. It wouldn't work out.
It's not sustainable, quite clearly. All right, we're gonna hear about the co-op suggestion, the idea from Rand Paul after the break here, so that you have the power to negotiate. Health savings accounts, good idea. Some free market in there, and maybe co-ops. Paul Siegert, we'll be right back. All right. In solving the Obamacare problem, it's a problem because medical debt is the leading cause of bankruptcy in America in 2025. It's a sad thing. Paul Siegert is still with us here. Paul, medical debt is a horrendous thing, but it can be solved. First of all, we have to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with something that works for people. We start with health savings accounts. And that would actually build wealth for your child, your 20-month-old child, right? If they had a health savings account and they don't use the money and they're young and they're healthy and they don't need the money, it continues to roll over. It can build actual wealth. Maybe they can buy a house. Maybe they can do other things. Maybe they don't feel so disconnected from the American dream. Second part is Rand Paul's idea, which I think is very good. And I want you to hear it directly from him. Rand Paul saying what we need is the ability to negotiate, and there is strength in numbers. Here he is.
This is an idea I've been talking about for several years, and President Trump has engaged on this idea. In his first term, he actually tried to put it in place through an executive order, but the Democrats sued in court and stopped us. Basically, it allows people to buy insurance as a group. So if you're an individual accountant and you have 3 employees, or you're a landscaper and have 4 employees, you're a small group, you don't have any leverage to get a better price from big insurance companies. But what if you could join Costco? Costco has 44 million members, and if one person negotiated for all 44 and they bought a group plan like Toyota or General Motors does, they would be the largest corporate or largest collective entity in the country. They would drive prices down by sheer might and leverage. In all likelihood, whoever was in charge of the buying group would sit down with the CEO of United Healthcare and Blue Cross, and they would have to negotiate, and they would get things that nobody's been able to get in the past. So this is an idea of letting people join a group, like a co-op or a collective, to bargain together, and they're called association health plans.
Association health plans. I like his idea here, Paul. And look, even if you had the 4 big companies, United, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, the top 4, the big ones, well, then they would be cutthroat against each other, wouldn't they? That would drive down the cost. It was interesting to hear him say Democrats sued to stop us from doing this. Why would Democrats sue them to stop the American people from getting a better deal at a better price?
Well, I think it's not in the interest of insurance companies for this to occur. You know, they're going to do far better dealing directly with each state to set rates for small groups where they tend to get what they want in terms of increases each year. I mean, we're coming off of this year is the highest increases in insurance premiums for healthcare in 15 years. And these insurers can go to the head of insurance for each state, and the commissioner or whatever they're called in each state, and say, hey, here's our losses. We need an increase. Here's how much we need, and get that done with often little pushback, little to no pushback.
You know,
so it's a much better
losses,
arrangement for them.
We've already covered the fact, Paul, their profits are up 1,000% in just over 10 years. I mean, their profits are in the billions and billions of dollars, and they're having losses. I don't see that. I guess I'm missing that part of the balance sheet.
Yeah. Well, they're really kind of false losses. You know, it's saying, hey, we've created this healthcare conglomerate. We're allowing our owned companies to overcharge each other. For example, the drug benefit, the pharmacy benefit manager is overcharging our health plan, but we own the pharmacy benefit manager, and we're allowing that all to occur, which inflates costs. So then we can go to the insurance commissioner and say, look at how much it costs our health plans to buy drugs, even though we're the ones selling the drugs to the health plan at an inflated cost. It's obviously a math game that's worked out well for them and not well for anyone else.
Right. So let's go through it. We got about 2 minutes here. Give me your 3 steps to fixing health care and coverage in America so we have less money out of pocket and better services. It can be done. You said it's a math game, but I don't want to get gamed by the insurance companies. I don't want to get gamed by politicians. And there's politicians on both sides playing this game. They get tremendous amount of money for their campaigns from the insurance industry that they're, subsidizing through taxpayer dollars. Give me your steps to fixing this.
Well, I think health savings accounts are one of them. That's a step in the right direction. Another one is transparency rules that really mean something. And then allow consumers to consume with those dollars in those health savings accounts outside of the arrangement between the insurer and the provider. We have examples of healthcare working quite well. You have to remove the insurance payment model primarily. Look at the cost of LASIK surgery over the last 15 years. Cost has gone down, quality has gone up. Where it's a cash-based transaction or a real transaction between a consumer and a provider of a service without an intermediary gumming it up, it works very, very well. Other examples would be cosmetic procedures. You can get a cosmetic procedure today by a very top person in the country for less than you could 10 years ago. And the quality is as good or better because there's real forces of free market forces of competition there. We need to bring those forces into our current system and reward consumers for consuming well. And that, to me, that's the rule of government, or the role of government, is to create good guardrails and rules for engagement between those selling services and those purchasing services. But the insurance payment model is just completely in the way. I like the co-op idea. Go a step further. Let that co-op negotiate directly with big health systems. Cut the insurer right out of it. They'll on their own get a far better transaction going without
Well, that's a
any
pretty
losers.
good idea right there. Cut the insurance out completely. Go directly to, I'll use Henry Ford Health, the largest in Michigan. There's your healthcare system. And now Blue Cross, that services this region of the state of Michigan. Therefore, we're going to negotiate directly with you for services for our patients. A really good idea, Paul. It's been a masterclass here, an education in what's wrong and what can be fixed. And it can be fixed, but it does take political will on both sides of the aisle to make this happen. And it's not to continue fleecing taxpayers. Paul, I really appreciate you taking so much time today and walking us through this because you know it so well. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. I hope you learned something as well. I did. And that's a pretty good idea. Negotiate directly, not just insurance companies, maybe take them out of the way. Negotiate directly with the healthcare providers, the big conglomerate hospitals and so forth, or the surgery centers. I'd like your feedback. Send me an email, stevegruber.com. stevegruber.com. Send me an email. What are your thoughts on what we discussed here today? It impacts everybody. It will have political ramifications in November of next year. I'll take a break and come back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All righty, let's jump in with sports now and Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The NBA Cup quarterfinals began last night. Orlando beat Miami 117-108, and New York knocked off Toronto 117-101. The last two quarterfinal games are tonight. In men's college basketball, second-ranked Michigan crushed Villanova 89-61. Fifth-ranked Connecticut beat 18th-ranked Florida 77-73 in the Jimmy V Classic in New York. And 10th-ranked BYU rallied from a 20-point deficit to beat Clemson at the buzzer 67-64. That at the Jimmy V Classic in New York. In the NHL, there were 10 games. Winners included Tampa Bay, New Jersey, Dallas, and Anaheim. Baseball's winter meetings are underway this week in Orlando, Florida. Some big deals yesterday. Kyle Schwarber re-signed with the Phillies on a 5-year deal worth $150 million, and the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers agreed to a 3-year, $69 million deal with free agent closer Edwin Diaz. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. Is Villanova a bad basketball team?
Traditionally, no. I think it's just a case of Michigan being that good this year. They're ranked second for a reason.
I just went and looked. Villanova has won a whole bunch of games so far. Now, they haven't played many people. They played Penn and Temple and LaSalle, but I mean...
Yeah, those are Big Five opponents there in Philadelphia. That's a big deal in Philadelphia, by the way.
Sure.
Who's number one?
Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona is. But Michigan, my God, 28 points over Villanova. Villanova's a good, I mean, it's a basketball school, right? That's what people would say.
Yes.
And here they are just getting crushed. I think Michigan's your number one team in the country. I think Arizona is not. But, hey, that's just because I'm watching what everybody else is watching, and it's just remarkable, isn't it?
Well, they're undefeated. They're 9-0 right now. They have just crushed people in that Las Vegas tournament. They beat 3 ranked teams 3 days in a row. They beat a very credible Villanova team. They beat a credible TCU team on the road by 3. Almost blew a big lead against Wake Forest in New York back in November, but they were able to figure out a way to win that. And
they're on their way.
We'll see. Michigan's only problem, it's December. You
Yeah,
want
that's
to be
right.
playing like this in the middle of March.
That's right.
That's the only problem.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. The Wolverines lighten it up again. It's all fun. When we come back, how are you doing with your monthly bills? How's the average worker in Michigan doing? We're going to talk about that coming up in the next hour here on the Steve Gruber Show. What do I do? something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And welcome to it, my friends. Glad to have you here for the conversation, lighting the fuse on a brand new hour of the Steve Gruber Show. It's going to be explosive. Fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom as we do every single day. Who do you want next to you? When the chips are down, I want Americans next to me. I want my wife next to me. I want my family next to me. That's who I want in my foxhole. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Congress has cleared the way for the Selfridge fighter mission. $14 million in the upgrade plan. Congratulations to all involved, including the president and the governor. Got together and made this happen. Number two, the average worker in Michigan not living comfortably, according to a brand new report. We'll tell you about this. Affordability continues to be the conversation. And number three, how about that weather? Snow day here at the house. Not for me, of course, but for others. In fact, schools across the state, certainly to the west, closed today because of heavy snow. And so I checked the averages. November snowfall is 133% of normal. It was 33% higher than normal was November. I checked Lansing for the Lansing snowfall, just kind of get the center of the state. Average for December is just over 11 inches. It's already well above 10, so we're going to break that average. 20 inches is predicted. 20 inches predicted for December. That's 180% of normal. Yeah. It's winter here. That's why we were out getting tires yesterday. I mentioned that in the last hour, picking up some tires. And by the way, let me give a shout out to the great folks at Liskey's in Lansing. They've been there for decades. Everybody built and moved around them. They stayed right there serving the customer. God bless Liskey's in Lansing, Michigan. If you need your car taken care of, they are the folks. Tires, making sure everything's good. Look, we're going into winter now. If you haven't taken care of your car, you need to now. That's for sure. All right. Let's start with this. I just thought this was the strangest, funniest, most bizarre thing I've ever heard, right? Tim Walz ran for vice president. He was like the goofy sitcom dad. I mean, goofy. Anthony, I want to ask you something here. When you see Tim Walz, what do you think of? Is goofy sitcom dad? Yeah. I mean, that's kind of in the alley, right?
Yeah. Not somebody who knows how to fix a truck. That's for sure.
Well, and I bring this up because, and Anthony, he edits the sound for the program so he knows what's coming. But Tim Walz, he said he's just too manly for Republicans. Tim Walz says the Republicans are afraid of him because he's just too manly. Here it is.
I think it's this notion of toxicity in masculinity needs to be separated. And I think it's been conflated. And I think we're going to have to work on that a little bit. And I think there is a crisis.
I think some of us scare them. I think I scare them a little bit. Why they spend so much time on it. No, I'm serious because I can fix a truck. They know I'm not bullshit on this. Yeah. I'm not putting this in people's grill. I don't know if my identity is not hunting. My identity is not football coaching. My identity is not, a beard and a truck.
Yeah. Tim Walz is too manly for Republicans. We're frightened of Tim
His
Walz.
identity is tampons.
Tampon Timmy, there he is. No, he says he's just too manly. And he's there with another man's man. All right, Anthony, I ask you this. All right, so what do you think about Gavin Newsom there with his perfect hair?
He's like a, I don't know, just like... kind of like a soy boy is what they call him. Probably wears perfume maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Has eyeliner, all of that. Yeah. Anyhow, I thought you would enjoy the fact that Tim Walz is far too manly for you and I. Yeah, Tim, you want to gut that deer with me? We'll see how good you are at this whole hunting thing. I'm guessing probably about as inept as you are at dancing.
I bet the two of them stay up late FaceTiming each other till one of them falls asleep.
You're probably right. No, you're the best. No, Gav, you're the best. No, Timmy.
Don't listen to those mean things they said.
Those mean people. They just think you're too much of a man. I know. All right. So in the good news column is gas continues to come down. The national average 294 today. It is, I saw gas. I was going to get this clip, and I don't think I got it. Maybe I did. Did I get this clip of the gas? Yeah. Go to Byte 3, Anthony. I didn't call this one, did I? Yeah, go to Byte 3 and play this. Gas, how cheap? Listen to this.
Yeah, we opened the Fox 31 video hall today to find that story. This was June of 2001. Drivers complaining about gas prices. At the time, hovering around $1.70 or $1.80 a gallon. Tonight, we're finding that, again, our crew spotted one gas station, this one near Evans in Quebec, advertising $1.69 a gallon. And this time, drivers are not complaining at all. Fox 31's Anna Kuhn with what's behind it.
Gas is $1.69 a gallon right now at the Quick Trip on the corner of East Evans and South Monaco Street. That's the cheapest price you'll find across the state, according to Gas Buddy, and also one of the cheapest in the entire country.
There was a long wait line at a Denver Shell station this afternoon on the corner of East Evans and South Quebec Street.
It's surprising to see the lines. I've never seen this line before.
All those drivers looking to fill up the tank at just $1.69 a gallon.
Since I've learned to drive, I don't know if I've ever seen prices that low.
$1.69. Sign me up. What they were showing from 2001 was gas at $1.77. 2001, gas was $1.77. People didn't like it. $1.69 in 2025. Pretty remarkable. Now, having said that, finding gas under $2 a gallon in places like Texas and Oklahoma happens every day now. The average in those states is $2.40 or below. Gas is cheap. And it's just one part of the equation, I realize, but it's a nice part of the equation, isn't it? Yeah, cheap gas. We're in the, what was it, about the 270 range here in Michigan, southern Michigan right now. The statewide average is about, 280 something. Far better than $5 a gallon we were paying when Joe Biden was asleep in the White House, that's for sure. This part of the program brought to you by some good friends at Wolverine Water. Wolverine Water's been there for 75 years. If you got like stains in your shower, hard water stains, or the water doesn't smell right, or your clothes aren't getting as clean as you like, or the soap's not lathering the way it should, well, could be your water. Wolverine Water can fix all of those problems. Plus, they have great RO systems, reverse osmosis for drinking water. We have one here. It's the greatest thing. We use it for coffee and juice and just to drink the water and for our ice maker. It's great. If you need better water, you need WolverineWaterSystems.com. WolverineWaterSystems.com. For 75 years, they've been Michigan people serving Michigan people. My good friend Paul Mahaney runs that place, has for a long, long time. WolverineWaterSystems.com. The best water of your life is waiting for you. Support these Michigan and American companies. I'll be right back. All right, I updated my numbers. Just so you know, Lansing, Michigan, in November had just over 9 inches of snow. The average 3.9 inches for the month of November. That puts us at 233% of average for November. It's been snowing all night. It piled up again. We're over average. The average to this date, November and December combined, we are 6 inches above average already, and we're not even counting the storm yet. Anyhow, Ron Rademacher says it's knowing where he is as well. He's traveling the back roads, but he's got a shovel and those big goofy idiot mittens, you know, one that string that runs up one sleeve around the back. If you pull on one side, he punches himself in the mouth with the other. That one. Hello, Ron.
And I also have the one where my mittens, you know, I have mittens on the string like you used to have at school. They go through the shoulder so you can't lose your mittens.
That's what I said, idiot mittens. So you pull on one end and you punch it. The guy punches himself in the face with the other one, right? You just yank on his mitten, he punches himself. I love that. Anyhow.
Yeah, we have a lot. It is winter here. We don't have as much snow as Ironwood. I don't know if you've seen those pictures out of Ironwood. If not, have somebody Google it up. It's above the tops of the cars, above the doors. On the down, 2 days ago.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, you have to see the pictures. It's just like
you know what it is. You know what it is, Ron. It's climate change because it explains everything. If we were having a green December, it'd be climate change. Too much snow, climate change. Right on average, climate change. It's magical. It explains everything.
It's climate change. It's climate change here, but in Ironwood, it's because of Trump. All right, it's not good. I mean, you can't give climate change all of the. But they're not worried up there. You know, they're close to Minnesota, so they understand that Manly Waltzy is going to come over and let snow out of the way. They need some help with their trucks up there.
All right, Ron. When you look at Tim Walz, does the term manly even enter your brain at all?
There's only one thing that enters my brain, and that's Elmer Fudd. I mean, from the very first time I saw the guy, I remembered the cartoon. And you silly wabbit, and I'm with the shotgun. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not making up. That's the first thing. And every time I see him, it's like, oh, yeah, it's just what it is.
Fair enough. All right, what do you got for us today?
We got to do some listener shout outs. I was down in Kalamazoo for the Wings Over Kalamazoo event. We got 2 more coming up this weekend. And let me see here. A lot of people came by the booth who were from the Kalamazoo area. Deb and Becky, they were not together, but they came by. All these people are taking umbrage. Great displeasure with WKMI and WBCK in that area who have dropped your program. And I know there's nothing that you can do about it. You got your people in there doing their marketing. One thing Becky wanted to know, and you could check on this for me, they're wondering if, even though they're not going to carry the whole show, would they be willing to carry the Michigan Back Roads segment?
You know, sorry, but they won't. You know, what happened is Odyssey took over those stations. Odyssey, that's George Soros, by the way, for anybody keeping score at home. He bought Odyssey out of bankruptcy, I think, 2024 last year. It was fast-tracked by the FCC. A lot of Republicans are like, why are you doing that? 225 radio stations, give or take, around the country, and now he's doing deals. It's called a licensing agreement. And they come in and say, look, we'll take over your station. We'll give the owner of the station a check. And I don't blame the folks for taking the check. Look, they got the money, and I think they put on sports programming, whatever they did. We're trying to see if we can find a home in Kalamazoo and Battle Creek. We're working on that. In Lansing, we're on WVFN 730. Lansing 730. So we're doing just fine in the capital city and looking for a replacement. We do have some other stations, though, that are coming on board with us. I'll be announcing those the next couple of weeks. Got to work those deals out. But, you know, we're growing. You know, George Soros, with all his money, he can keep me down, but he can't keep me there.
No, I can't keep you down. And one thing that I explained to each of the people, and we have Wi-Fi there, so I brought it up on my screen and showed them. All you got to do is go to stevegruber.com in the morning.
Boom.
Click listen now. And I said, and you know, if you want to, I'm always on at 8:14 or come on at 8:18. And it streams great.
That's
the video's
right.
great. So just and people said, well, what about when I'm driving? I said, I believe that you can do it through your phone and cast it. I mean, with technology today, you're going to be able to listen.
Just listen if you're in your car. Do not watch because you know it's icy and snowy, and don't do that.
Yeah. Now we did have one other one, and these guys, Matt and Penny, drove up from Howe, Indiana, You'd think you got, I mean, you've got some loyal listeners.
Wow.
And they drove up from Howell, Indiana, and they had a special message for you, Steve.
Oh, boy.
Let me get this. I don't want to get this wrong. Yeah, they'd heard the sciatica came up, and they heard that you stubbed your toe out on a trail or something.
It's all true.
Steve, the message is we want to go curling, so suck it up, Buttercup. That was.
I'll go curling. I don't care if I'm in a cast or, if I'm self-medicated.
They drove up from Indiana to deliver that message in person.
Well done.
And another shout out to Alan Deming for the reminder. Alan, thank you very much about the Polar Express is running, and we do have a white Christmas coming. And
no
even
question.
if you can't get tickets, what he wanted me to tell people, this train, of course, is always sold out. If you go to the village of Ashley, check the schedule. That's the terminus of the Polar Express run. And so you can be there when the train comes tootling in and Santa's there. They have a big party. So even if you can't ride, you can take the kids over and see the train come in. So thank you.
I wish I liked eggnog. I don't. I wish I did. It'd be more festive.
Have you thought about doctoring it up a little bit?
Well, I have. You put a little bourbon in the eggnog, that's fine. I decided to just go with the bourbon and forget the eggnog part. So
expedient. That's expedient.
Just get to the present, right?
Just get right to the point.
Unwrap it. Yeah. All right, we got about 20 seconds here, Ron. Get one in, and then we're going to do a couple more after the break.
All right. Well, been talking about snow, so we'll touch on Ironwood. The snow is above the doors in Ironwood, but they've been moving things out. I understand that some people from Minnesota are going to go over there and fix the trucks. That's good. But the Snowcross National is going to be held out there on the ski slopes. This is high-performance snowmobile racing. Should be terrific.
December 12th and 13th in Ironwood.
Yeah.
Snows above the doors. Good Lord. All right, more with this guy, Ron Rademacher, right after the break on the Steve Gruber Show.
Fun in the green room.
By the way, listening at stevegruber.com at the Listen Live button, bingo, it's a VFN feed, WVFN out of Lansing. It's the live feed. And you can catch Tim Stout there as well. Another great voice. He talks sports, but, man, he knows his stuff. He comes on right after me, so you don't want to miss that, Ron. It's always good. So Ironwood's got a bunch of snow. We've got a bunch of snow. It's going to be a white Christmas here. I just showed Ivy. It's going to 18 degrees. It's a little misty right now, so we're going to have that. It's going to be rock hard until at least a week or 10 days. So there you go.
Yeah, we're supposed to be, the temperatures are dropping, so the snow's not going anywhere, and it is still falling. It's the little tiny flakes, that pile up.
Yeah.
So,
man, the ski resorts must be happy.
Again. So so we'll finish in the Upper Peninsula. Chassel, everybody's doing all kinds of high-tech stuff, but Chassel, up on the Keweenaw Peninsula, they'll have snow there, baby. Yeah. If you can get there, it's the old-fashioned way. They have horse-drawn carriages through town, people caroling, wassail, all kinds of treats. So the tree lighting, this is a really old-fashioned kind. Chassel is one of my favorite little towns. You drive right by it on your way to Copper Harbor, and if you get off the main road and go down into town, it's just a charming little old town. And then the Leschenault Islands area, Steve, is having their shop hop. So if you want to get out and get some bargains, I understand that even Wilderness Treasures over there in Pickford has got some specials on. They're the people who are always giving us all the fishing information in spring. So
right. There you go. That's good
shout
stuff.
out to them.
You got one more.
Now, down
One
here
more in you?
Yeah, well, we got, there's a couple more. Dexter is one of my favorite little towns, and they're having the Historical Society, the Heritage Guild, is having their big deal at the museum. And if you ever get down there, Steve, go to the museum, and in the basement they have a huge model train.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
The layout is the village of Dexter from the 1800s.
Oh, that's really cool.
Them pulling Model A's out of muddy roads, but either you or one of your ancestors is in there, because it shows a little pond on the outside of town, and a couple of the boys are out there skinny dipping.
That'd be me. Yes, sir. MichiganBackroads.com. MichiganBackroads.com. Close optional in Dexter, apparently, at least in the train set.
Apparently.
Ron, thank you. God bless America.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good one.
We'll be right back. Only the best for you today. I'm telling you, only the best for you. We've been having some fun this hour. We're going to continue that now with Bill Walton, the host of The Bill Walton Show, former chairman and CEO of a $10 billion New York Stock Exchange traded investment company. He's a successful investor and a Renaissance man, you betcha. Here's Bill. Bill, how are you?
Steve, great talking with you.
Always good to see you, my friend. All right, so we talk a lot about the economy, but this big topic has kind of been running under the radar a little bit. Netflix trying to purchase Warner Brothers. You say this is a catastrophic deal to the legacy of film. What do you mean?
Well, I think maybe my PR person put it a little more hyperbolic.
They'll do that.
This is the most complicated topic we've talked about. I mean, this is one of those deals where whether you like it or not depends on where you sit. This pits Hollywood versus Silicon Valley. It pits creators versus financiers. It pits the Republicans versus the Democrats. It's got to have antitrust approval. And that means that Donald John Trump's going to be involved in whether the merger gets to go ahead. It's going to take a year and a half to approve it. And the thing about Netflix is, Netflix has not been in the original content business until the last several years, and they've done a pretty good job stepping up to that, but they don't own a major studio. And Netflix tries to run itself as a very efficient digital operation, has been very successful doing so. And by acquiring Warner, they're going to have access to the music library, a studio lot, which they don't have. And, there's a lot they could do with it. But on the other hand, there's a chance they might shut that studio lot down and just try to make a living off of the Warner Brothers library. Now, as a film buff, I might like that because there's a lot of films in the library that we don't get to see because they don't have a streaming outlet for it, then this would provide that. But it's also got a lot of personal drama too, because the Ellison family is behind Paramount, and that's one of the bidders who put the company in play. And then there's Netflix came in, and some of them like each other, and some of them hate each other.
It's like Thanksgiving. Yeah,
it's like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that. And then you throw Trump in the mix, and it's like a bomb going off because you have to talk about Trump in the mix as you already did, right?
You don't know which way that's going to go.
Well, let me ask you, from where you sit, Bill, is it a good idea or a bad idea?
I think on balance, I think it's a good idea. I think the the entrepreneurs behind Netflix have done a pretty good job creating original product, and they don't have a major studio. Warner Brothers is their lot is a crown jewel. And I know their CEO has always wanted to own a lot movie studios. I think they'll respect the property and probably do a pretty good job developing it. It could be, though, catastrophic for if you're a movie theater because, Netflix doesn't release its movies through theatrical.
That's right. The movie theaters are already in trouble since COVID. I don't know the answer to my next question, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, but where does Taylor Sheridan create his product? Because Taylor Sheridan does remarkable things like Yellowstone. Landman is one of the best series I've ever seen, to me. I don't know if you watch these things or not, but we do a little bit. I don't watch a lot of TV. I have time here and there. And Landman's remarkable. Where does he do his work? Would he be involved in any of this?
Well, I think he's running an independent production shop and has deals with various studios and various streamers for products. But I'd consider him an independent and not a captive of one of the studios.
Yeah, whatever he touches turns to gold. So anyhow, there's a lot of consolidation in media. In fact, there's talk that CNN's going to get spun off, and when that happens, good luck to the people working there. I mean, there's just a lot of changes in media, isn't there?
Well, that's one of the interesting parts about this, and this is where Donald Trump comes into play because he's going to be judging this deal as to who ends up owning CBS and CNN, and he's looking for more favorable coverage. And so he's going to lean towards the people, for example, Paramount, who's bidding for this, who are more supportive of him. Although CBS, there's a deal where Paramount got, CBS, I believe, is owned by Paramount. And after the deal, CBS had a very negative 60 Minutes segment on him. And
well, gee, I'm shocked.
He let everybody know.
I mean, Bill, you're old enough to remember when 60 Minutes was relevant. I mean, when I was a kid, we watched 60 Minutes every Sunday, unless it was something about film or something. But my father would sit down and watch 60 Minutes because it mattered, right? And you had Mike Wallace and Morley Safer and all the great names there. And they did real things. And look, Mike Wallace was a Democrat. Everybody knew it. But he didn't care who you were. He'd shred you, and he'd throw it on the table and say, here it is, right? And CBS, they don't treat Donald Trump evenly. I won't say fairly or unfairly. They don't treat him evenly. It's not even-handed what they do. Neither is Chicken Noodle News. They're not even-handed either over at CNN. And I'm in the White House. I have a hard pass. I see these people. You know, I like them personally, but the way they do their product, I think is wrong, frankly.
Yeah, well, you know, it's so hyper-partisan now, and I think they've decided that they've got their audience that's the loyal audience that's on the hard left, and they're going to feed them, you know, what they want. And on the other side, we've got the right with Fox and Newsmax, and they're trying to do similar things. And so we've got a problem where back in the old days when you had CBS, we had 3 networks, and everybody watched it, and so they had to realize that they were talking to the whole country, not just to their niche partisans. So, you know, that's where we are.
Most trusted man in America, Walter Cronkite, of course, right? Yeah. I mean, he was. And he was a Democrat. And yet, he was a lot more even-handed. And that's the problem. You're right, hyper-partisanship. And I wonder, you know, what happens to, okay, let's say this deal happens. What does that do to programming? Does that swing it to the left or to the right, depending on who buys it?
Yes. I think Paramount coming into the deal, Paramount again is the Ellison family, and I think they would swing more to the right, and they would probably that would have a difference in the programming. Absolutely.
Yeah. Would Larry even know a difference on his balance sheet? Look, we bought all these media companies, and
this is Dad. In my view, this is Dad helping son out with his career.
Oh, there's that. Yeah. And I just had a listener chime in. Don't forget Wild Kingdom. Hey, Marlon Perkins, go wrestle that alligator.
Right.
Yeah. Jim, go wrestle the alligator. Marlon, you go to hell. You go wrestle the alligator. I mean, hopefully, I'd like to see more balance in programming. I don't need to see, and I'll be honest about this. We've talked about this. In every film or every series, I don't need a gay scene. I don't. I mean, it's like it has to be there to make it a legitimate series anymore. I'm like, stop it. I don't need to see a straight sex scene either for a series to be good. I don't need that, right? I'll give you the last word.
Well, you're talking to a guy who's a young man, didn't even like the kissing scenes.
Right. There you go. So I guess I know where you come down on this. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, we will stop if it's too graphic, and sometimes it's just like over the top. It's like, all right, we're done watching this series. We will just skip it.
Good storytelling doesn't need that. Good, you know, scenes like that stop the movie.
That's right.
Stop the story, and it's just thrown in. It's completely gratuitous. And
absolutely true.
You know, I like good storytelling. So
I do as well. Bill, always entertaining, my friend. Thank you for coming by. We'll talk to you again.
Yeah, great talking with you.
Always a pleasure. Bill Walton, everybody. Yeah, some of them love each other, some of them hate each other. Just like Thanksgiving. That's right. When I come back, John James, the congressman, running for governor in Michigan. He's going to join me here on the program. I'll be right back. All right, my next guest is the odds-on favorite to be the Republican nominee for governor in Michigan in 2026. He is a congressman now representing Michigan's 10th Congressional District. It is John James. He's joining me here on the program. John, nice to see you again.
Hey, great to see you again. Great to be back on the show.
Polls looking pretty good for you right now. And when I say odds-on favorite, it's not based on my assumptions. It's based on numbers. You must feel pretty good about it.
Well, you know, I do. My reception around the state has been extremely positive. People are desperate for change. People are desperate for a combat veteran who understands what it takes to win tough battles at home and abroad, who understands what it takes to accomplish tough missions, to deploy into Lansing and make things work for them. People understand that for Michigan, a state that is desperate for new opportunities, economic opportunity, mobility, having someone who's actually grown jobs in the real world, in the business world, someone who signed the front and the back of a check. That's somebody to lead Michigan, to make it a more business-friendly place where people like my father, who came to Michigan for a better life, so that we can protect the American dream for future generations. We have a lot of work to do, and the polls are just a reflection of where people are. I've been leading in the polls by nearly 40 points for nearly a year, and I'm the only Republican showing that's beating Jocelyn Benson and Mike Duggan on the ballot. These polls, this is not the last one. The last one is the one we're talking about now. But there's been a trend continuing, and I'm excited to build on this so that people can see their reflection, not just in the campaign, but in our administration as well.
When you talk about tough fights, one of those, I mean, fraud is in the headlines. We see what's happening in Minnesota. Billions of dollars fraudulently taken from the taxpayers and apparently sent back to Somalia. We're now seeing the same thing in Maine. We have different problems with government accountability here and transparency. When you get to Lansing, if you become governor of the state of Michigan, do you have some of the same concerns when it comes to fraud, waste, and abuse?
Number one, we are going to audit on the very first day. We're going to audit. We're going to make sure that anyone who was found breaking the law, fraud, waste, and abuse, if anyone was found misusing tax dollars from the people of the state of Michigan, then they will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We're done with just these slaps on the wrist. When you look at the scale of the potential fraud, Minnesota has a population and a budget a fraction of the size of Michigan. And Gretchen Whitmer is spending $20 billion this year in her budget than she spent just 5 years ago. Do you know what was going on 5 years ago, guys? The pandemic. How much fraud do you think is in that $20 billion when you look around you and our schools aren't 25% better, our roads aren't 25% better, our hospitals and our healthcare aren't 20% better? Where's all that money going? When you point to Minnesota, you're looking at a smaller budget, $1 billion with a B. They found $1 billion. The Minnesota taxpayer has been found to be the number one highest funder of al-Shabaab in Somalia. So we absolutely have to crack down on this government corruption. And frankly, someone who's been living by the honor code for his entire adult life, the West Point honor code is lie, cheat, steal, and tolerate those who do. Bringing integrity back to our government is so desperately and sorely needed as well.
I'm glad you brought up the budget. I think we got it down to $81 billion. It's a couple $billion smaller than it was, which just seems like a miracle in Lansing. But you compare that to Georgia, a state pretty similar in size to Michigan. They're $20 billion smaller. Pennsylvania, a larger state, $30 billion less in their annual budget. How does Michigan spend so much money and get so little in return?
Well, failed leadership, Steve. When you have somebody who's going to be the CEO of the state, maybe they should have experience running a business before. I don't know. When you hire lawyers to run the state, all they're going to do is argue and litigate. And this is what we're seeing. Michigan is one of the most unfriendly states to do business, and is one of the most unfriendly states, which is why we're second in unemployment, which is why our population declines under Democrat governors, which is why you have 1 in 2 children in Detroit in poverty, which is why our schools are 44th out of 50, which is why you're looking at a state like North Carolina, who's operating on the same budget that we did, $60 billion annually 5 years ago, and they're kicking our tails in every measurable that matters. We need leadership that's actually experienced in the real world to be able to put Michigan back on the right foot. We're going to get back on the right track. The best is yet to come, but Michigan is going to have the chance to elect the leader who has the experience to do that.
So auditing on the first day, I think that's a really smart move. Again, because post-COVID, you're right, so much money flew around with so little control. I feel that there's a pretty good chance we got fleeced right here in Michigan, just like they did in Minnesota, like they're finding in Maine now, and other places where, gosh, all of these government programs, look, free money, everybody. fraudsters come in. And you're right, we need to hold these people accountable.
And you know who's hurt the most? It's not just the taxpayer who's working hard and being fleeced by the government. The ones who are hurt the most are the people who truly need it, the sickest and poorest, who it's just Christian to take care of people who are desperately in trouble. And so when you have fraudsters stealing from the needy, I think that's the worst crime of all. So we're going to audit. We're going to make sure that we have a government that is fair, that is efficient, and that is limited. And that's my commitment to you.
There you go. John James, if people like what they're hearing today, where do they go? Where do they find a place to support you, learn more about you, read about you? What do you got?
Well, if you want to be supportive, please just follow me, johnjamesmi.com, or on the socials at johnjamesmi. There's a lot to be concerned about, but leaders who submit to the Lord and serve his people, we know that better is yet to come. We have brighter days ahead, Michigan. God bless you.
John James, God bless you. Thank you for being here. We wish you well on the campaign trail, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
There you have it. John James, everybody. He is leading in the polls. He's not wrong when he says by about 40 points. Takes a lot of work to win a statewide race. The predictions out of Virginia, this is where the money generates from all these agencies, by the way, the political spend, right? This is the money that comes in for Senate races, for presidential races, for governor's races, Secretary of State, Attorney General, all that. The prediction for Michigan, 2026, is a spend of $950 million on advertising. Because all the other people around the country want to dump money into Michigan because Michigan is ground zero. But that's almost $1 billion. It's a remarkable amount of money to be spent on a midterm election, and that's what's going to happen. That's why I say it takes a lot of work. John James in the thick of it right there. I'll take a break. I'll have some final thoughts on the program right after this. You know, sometimes I just sit here and shake my head. Anthony has been watching entirely too many TikTok videos. I'm just going to, it's time for an intervention. TikTok. All right, Instagram. Where do you get your videos from?
Instagram.
Yeah. Too many Instagram videos.
No, dude, Instagram's a place to be. That's where all I see on Instagram are the OBS Chevy trucks, people drinking beer, American flags. It's pretty cool.
Are they drinking beer behind? They're not behind the wheel of their Chevy truck, are they? What kind of videos are you watching?
Only, dude, that's the truck to do it in. That's what they say.
Why?
I don't know. It's Chevy. You're a Chevy guy. You should know.
I drive a Chevy. I do.
You drive it.
I've driven Fords too, though.
Princess Chevy, but
yeah, whatever. Mine would eat yours for lunch.
Yeah,
and spit it out the tailpipe, pal.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, take that. By the way, Anthony said the roads were a little rough coming in. A lot of school closures today because of the heavy, wet snow. It's raining now, or misting, or whatever that is. And then it's going to go to 18 degrees. And I'm looking at the forecast here. It's not getting above freezing for at least a week or 10 days, which means this misty stuff on top of all this snow is going to be one big rock-solid chunk of ice shortly and for a while. That's in the daily forecast here. For southern Michigan. In fact, the lows by the weekend, 0. You like that, don't you? 0. I don't see it getting anywhere near freezing until the 17th. Take that, winter haters. Yeah, this is what people flee to Florida, Anthony. They're like, I can't take it anymore.
I ain't scared of this.
I can't
ain't scared
take it
of a
anymore.
little snow.
Not with your S10. Not with the monster truck S10.
No, dude, that thing. I can't. I try to lose traction and I can't.
Oh, come on now. Now you're just telling stories out of school. No. Anyway, so that's where it is. Lots of snow days. Be careful out there, please. And don't shovel if you don't think you can take it. That's why I can't do it. So Anthony's going to have to shovel everything because, I wouldn't want to impact my health, of course. Fight the good fight.
Ridiculous guy.
Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. Remember, work harder, be better.